Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm going to show real beginners of Path of Exile how to build a basic Ranger Deadeye based on Tornado Shot skill. It's an incredibly powerful skill with an incredibly appealing, really addictive gameplay, and it is what you would call a very efficient mapper build. It's something that you farm with, it's something that allows you to cover vast distances and vast areas, dispensing off lots and lots of smaller mobs, but it kills rares just fine. It struggles a tiny bit on bosses. It's not a bosser build, so to speak. There are some negatives to this build, and let's get them out of the way straight away so that you can choose whether or not you want to invest more time into it or not. The main thing is survivability. This is an evasion-based build. It means that the build it relies on dexterity, relies on spell suppression, relies on auras that increase your evasiveness. You kind of dodge the attacks. What does that mean? Well, it means that while you are dodging the attacks or suppressing spell damage or suppressing elemental damage and other kind of things, you're good. But as soon as you're not, as soon as a heavy blow lands, boom, you're dead. So that's kind of what it means. It's not one of those tanky builds. And in order, you can make it tanky, you can make anything tanky in this game, but you need hours upon hours upon hours of further investment of time compared to where I'm at right now at level 70. Yeah, this build is taken a bit further than I normally take my try builds to. You could make it tanky, but it's incredibly more expensive, and that's kind of not the purpose of this. I'm just telling you straight away. It's not a tank build, it's not a minion build. You need to run, you need to stay on the move. You do suppress some damage, and as you can see, I run through the crowds. I don't die immediately, but you will die. So be aware that you will die. However, let's just get this out of the way. When you die, it's not a massive drama because of how fast this build is, especially with the flasks. Yeah, with the flasks being applied, with flasks that increase your movement speed and stuff like that. You will be back to where you died before you know it, my friend. So just enjoy killing stuff. If you die, oh well, it's an evasion build. You're rolling a dice every single time when something hits you. So you start leveling your character using something like Galvanic Arrow. So Galvanic Arrow, Mirage Archer, until level 12. At level 12, you will swap a Galvanic Arrow for Rain of Arrows. And pretty much with Rain of Arrows, Mirage Archer, and support of Ballista Totem, you will continue leveling this character until mid-60s, until like level 66, 67, if I'm not mistaken. Please take a look at the included detailed path of building import string in the description below, and I will show you also the skill tree in a minute and everything else. At 67, there will be a pivot, a small pivot that you need to do in your skill tree. Yeah, you will need to unlearn some points and reapply certain points. Yeah, the uniques that I have, you don't have to have them, but they help you tremendously, and they are dirt cheap at the end of the league, so you will not have a problem right now going to the marketplace and buying any of these items that I have between 1 and 2 Chaos Orbs. Between 1 and 2. I spent, like I'm saying to you, about 10 Chaos on this. I think that Gold Rim is a fantastic leather cap, and I'm using it for evasion rating and boosting quite substantially all of elemental resistances. That's the main thing. I have Rain of Arrows still here. Of course, I don't need it anymore. I already switched to Tornado Shot, but that just shows you that the build is still in progress. It's level 70, but it's not optimized, finalized, whatever. And I also have Ice Golem. Ice Golem is optional for this build, but it is a good addition, I think, personally, while you don't have anything else competing for that slot, because it is giving you increased critical strike chance and increased accuracy, and you will see how else we're using accuracy in this build, which is important. For chest, I'm simply using, as you can see, a 4-linked socket chest. Over here I have Artillery Ballista, I have added cold damage support, I have fast attack support, and I have elemental damage with attack support. For about 1 to 2 Chaos Orbs, you'll be able to buy arguably one of the best Ranger, bow and arrow, builds, amulets, Karui, Ward. It gives you dexterity, it gives you strength, it gives you accuracy, it massively increases your projectile speed, movement speed, and projectile damage. Like, it's a dream. I am a big fan of Prism Weave Rustic Sash. If you can buy one, buy one. It adds a massive amount of different kinds of elemental damage to attacks, yeah, which is great for certain builds, especially the ones that take advantage of Trinity support gem, but we're not going to dive into that detail today. So it gives a lot of added elemental damage to attacks, and also it massively increases elemental damage during any flask effect, which will be going off for us all the time. So Prism Whiff is fantastic. Now, Slither Punch is obviously something that I just happen to have in my possession randomly. That's why I'm using it, and it's not too bad. It's a pretty good boost to dexterity. It increases attack speed, increases evasion rating. In my bow, I have the auras, which is purity of elements, that obviously increases elemental resistances. I have Sniper's Mark, which is fantastic because it makes the rare and unique, like boss enemies, take massively a lot more damage from the projectile hits. And it's supported by Mark on hit support. Amazing support that automates this bit. Now in my boots I have Blink Arrow, which I'm using for movement. Not a massive fan, but I followed a different person's guide. So it also spawns a minion for a short period of time to do a bit of damage also in your stead. But the delay, the tiny delay that Blink Arrow has compared to something like Flame Dash, Normal Dash, those kind of movement skills, I am just not used to it, so use at your own discretion. I have Grace, that gives me more evasion rating. As I said to you, it is an evasion based build. The more evasion, the longer you will live. Main damage cluster, and as you can see, it's only 4 sockets, so you will be boosting it further. I am obviously using Tornado Shot, which is firing a piercing shot that travels until it reaches a certain area, and then it splits and does more damage there. It's supported by cold damage support, it's supported by Mirage Archer, my imaginary friend support, and it's obviously supported by elemental damage with attack support. Need I say more? So that's the leveling version of this not super optimized build. For flasks, I'm using the Quicksilver Flask to increase movement speed, and you will see that my skills are put in such a way that when you're using a flask, you're doing also more damage, and a lot of other good things are happening to you. So you need to use this. I happen to be very lucky to have Lavianga's Spirit, which you probably will not have. I found it, I didn't buy it, I don't know how much that would cost on the market, but that's entirely optional. I also have Bismuth's Flask for extra elemental resistances in case I'm affected by anything that dips my resistances below 100%. So this is where it helps boost it back. And I have a Sulfur Flask also here. Not optimized yet, I'm still applying the orbs to it to make sure that, you know, it works how I intended to work. And it is basically increasing damage by 40%. Who would say no to that, my friend? You're first going right to aspect of the eagle, you're increasing damage with bows, projectiles, attack speed, accuracy rating. Then you go down over here to take quick step to suppress spell damage, and take further evasion rating, maximum life, and suppression of spell damage. Then you're going down over here to Avatar of the Hunt, and you will also take... the guide that I followed suggested to take the first mastery here. The Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow have 100% increased cooldown recovery rate, so that you can blink faster, but I've taken increased Mirage Archer duration because I like running around, and I like my Archer to last longer so that he continues pelting enemies with arrows while I'm doing kinda nothing. Semi-passive. You will take Withered Hunter to increase your accuracy rating. Why? Simply because you will have more attack damage, substantially more attack damage, if your accuracy rating remains higher than your maximum life, which in my case of this very skinny, unoptimized build in crap gear, it is not very hard to do, but you will probably, as you become beefier towards the end game, you will need this skill. Farsight is fantastic. Need I say more? It increases damage with bows, attack speed, all of that stuff. You will have bow mastery to make sure that increases and reductions to projectile speed also increase attack damage with bows. Yes. You will take graceful assault to make sure that you proc onslaught, yeah, periodically. You will take volatility void to make sure that you have leech from... So attack while you're attacking, and while you're moving, you live. When you stop moving and when you stop attacking, you don't leech. You're a static target, you're easier to hit, and you probably will die. So that is something to keep in mind with those kind of builds. Very, very important leech mastery here is that 10% of leech is instant. Leech is obviously slow and steady, kind of like, you know, life trickling back over time, but 10% is instant. You kind of heal yourself instantly, so that's really, really important for your survivability. Then we're purely increasing our life and giving ourselves a bit more life. We are taking long shot to increase projectile speed. We are taking fleet foot to increase evasion rating. We take primeval force to increase elemental damage during any flask effect and in general, so that's great. We're taking Master Fletcher to make sure that bows take fire and additional arrow. That bit gets taken for when you are ready to transition to Tornado Shot from Rain of Arrows. Before you have transitioned to Tornado Shot, you don't need to take this, but the guide itself, the detailed guide in the POB, will tell you about this as well. You will also take Survivalist, Evasion Rating, Elemental Resistances, need I say more? You will take Piercing Shots once you are ready to take Tornado Shot to swap. You like those extra projectiles and extra piercing of targets becomes important, because when it's Rain of Arrows from above, nobody cares if they're piercing enemies. And attacks fire additional projectile. I kind of forgot to tell you about Charisma. Charisma increases your mana reservation efficiency of skills, which in turn allows you to run at the very least 2 rather heavy auras, Purity of Elements and Grace. Otherwise they both reserve 50%, so without this you wouldn't be able to fire a single shot. Does it make sense, my friends? So that's all I am using. As far as Ascendancy is concerned, obviously an unfinished build. I first went to take the Gathering Winds so that I increase kind of my speed and you know, an attack speed when I do anything, basically. So this simply allows you to move faster and attack faster, which is fantastic. Then I went over here to take Fast Shot to make sure that the projectile hits deal a bit less damage at the start of the movement, but as soon as they kind of gain a bit of speed, they do a lot more damage as the projectiles travel further away. My intention is obviously to go here towards Endless Munitions and take the extra 2 additional projectile, which will make our Tornado Shot just fire arrows in all possible directions. And I do not know if I will do the lab 4th time on this character, probably not. With the Pantheon, you can do a lot of different things. Again, this is a leveling build, it sort of doesn't matter, but I'm trying to reduce extra physical damage I'm receiving for nearby enemies, because often you are surrounded by enemies, so Lunaris is not bad. And I also think that for skinny builds, for skinny kind of characters like this, damage over time is what kills you very, very quickly, okay? So I usually take Soul of Ralakesh. You tell me if any others work better for you. So moving while bleeding doesn't cost any extra damage. And yeah, and you're generally taking less damage over time. And this is it, my friends. Like I said, Tornado Shot is popular this league for a good reason. A lot of people are playing it, but people are investing Divine Orbs upon Divine Orbs into it. I am not that rich, and I want to make my builds work for me and for you potentially from get-go, you know, without any uniques, without any fanciness. And I think this one works as long as you're ready to die occasionally and then very quickly run back to your corpse or to the area, whatever way you wanted to kill stuff, and continue having fun. I hope you've enjoyed this little unpretentious kind of guide for beginners. Give me a like if you did. Subscribe for more from me, because I am absolutely playing Path of Exile while still keeping an eye on World of Warcraft. Don't worry about it. It's a mixed content channel, so Path of Exile is close to my heart. I continue playing and continue producing content for it. Hope you've enjoyed this. Goodbye for now. Have a great day, night, whatever, wherever you are. Talk to you soon next week about something else, Path of Exile, quite likely related. Goodbye for now.